I don't think I can ever retire.
There's no way anybody can live off this money for the
Retirement
retirement.
seems so completely out of reach.
I don't think it's possible.
That's never gonna frickin' happen.
It's the talk of the town.
President Trump wants to chart a new path for Americans on the road to retirement.
Trump expected to sign an executive order today to allow private assets and crypto into 401ks.
Last year, DJ Tump, orange shoop but never fruity, always reppin' mighty, signed this executive order, opening up your 401k to private equity, private credit, and crypto. And now that it's simmered in the background for a bit, this stew's ready. These last few months, the DOL has started creating a legal safety net for 401k and private asset managers to include riskier things in your retirement portfolio. What used to be legally dubious is now legally dope. But what does that mean? For uptight ninnies, it means we're, quote, risking financial crisis like taxpayer bailouts, and the 401k scheme bodes to be the successor to the 2008 mortgage crisis. That's according to, let me see, Robert Morris, founder of U.S. private equity group Olympus Partners. I like to think it means that we're in a new era, a fun era, an era in which all sorts of cool stuff can happen, like grandma getting booted from the nursing home when Fartcoin takes a dip. I like that. I think that's good. And I'm not alone. Good stuff. That was Blackstone. Thanks to these guys, your 401k can now be invested in what are called alternative assets. After years of lobbying and just a little bit of extortion, they and their private equity and crypto buddies have finally landed their white whale and weaseled their way into a new corner of this wild, semi-aquatic jungle that is the American economy. A little corner that just so happens to be worth an estimated $9 to $10 trillion, and that probably concerns you directly. Now, in case you don't know, 401ks are retirement accounts sponsored by your employer that let you invest part of your paycheck pre-tax so you can have a little nest egg before you croak. Around 90 million Americans already have one, and up until now, they mostly invested in decently safe, diversified portfolios of publicly traded bond, mutual, and index funds. Mainstream, low-risk, predictable return investing. Now, your 401k could be invested in things like corporate takeovers, real estate, and best of all, crypto. Stuff that actually gets the blood pumping. You could already gamble on all this stuff before, but let me tell you, nothing beats the gambler's high of putting your retirement money on the line knowing that's it. Social Security is only going to cover around 40% of your pre-retirement income on average, and we just keep living longer. Meaning, these days, even rich blood boy swapping millionaires are worried about running out before the finish line. There's just something electric about needing your 401k to work out or being stuck putting everything from your basic expenses to your soon-to-be exploding healthcare costs on a fund that they keep threatening to cut every year and isn't even big enough to start with. Sadly, it didn't used to be like this. It used to be that you had a pension and you got your benefits every month until you died and it wasn't a big deal. But we'll get to that in a second. First, why are they even messing with this? Why this new executive order? My favorite wokes, private equity CEOs, say it's economic justice and we're long overdue for this. The rich have always been able to throw money into alternatives. It's discrimination against us lowly poors to be refused their most refined gambling. Then again, nobody knows what any of this is, or what all this stuff means. No, really. These are two investment choices offered in one New York Times columnist's 401k now that alternatives are getting mixed in. And he straight up doesn't know what's going on. This guy was a counselor to the Treasury Secretary under Obama, and I know that doesn't mean a whole lot, but if he doesn't know what's happening, and he's not gonna pay some analyst at BlackRock to figure it out, what makes you think that you or your boss would? What makes you think that your grandma or grandpa would have any idea what to do with this. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe you do. Maybe you know how to understand a mutual fund's public disclosure documents, daily price, and portfolio. All that information you need to be a prudent investor, and that thankfully, mutual funds are required by the SEC to disclose. That's not gonna matter anymore either. In part because of this executive order, your 401k is now increasingly likely to be invested in what are called CITs. These are kind of like mutual funds, except, and I'm quoting Bloomberg here, hardly anyone can tell you a thing about them. No one knows exactly how much money they control, no one can say how it's all allocated, no single financial regulator is in charge of them. And thanks to the legal condom placed upon private equity's investing PP by the Trump administration, alternative asset managers may now transmit these CITs with impunity. But we probably don't need to worry. After all, this is an industry that prioritizes, quote, inordinate risk-taking strategy. I know I feel safe and smart for picking the strategy with higher risks and lower returns than just putting my money in the S&P 500. Howdy friends, I've got a big surprise for you today, and I think you're really gonna like it. But this will be a slightly longer announcement, so as always, I wanna make sure I respect your time. If you're not interested, you can skip ahead to this timestamp. You can always come back later if you want to. For those of you who stuck around, thank you so much. Now, time for the surprise. For the last several months, my wife and I have been working on building what we think is the first socialist mail club. It has been a way bigger undertaking than we expected. We had to get a domain, build a website, jump through a bunch of business and legal hoops, spend a bunch of time and money designing the vibe of the club. We needed to find socialist artists to collaborate with, and a whole lot of other stuff that you probably don't care about. But the end result is the number 3 post, a snail mail club designed to help build community and solidarity among regular people across the country and abroad. If you're not already familiar with them, snail mail clubs are really fun. My wife Kelsey introduced me to them a while back, and I loved the idea. Basically, you sign up and you get a themed letter every month along with some analog goodies like art prints, stickers, recipe cards, journal prompts, stuff like that. There are mail clubs for artists, for gardeners, for women in their 40s, pretty much every niche you can think of, but there wasn't anything for socialists. So Kelsey thought, why don't we do that? And I thought about it and I realized, yeah, that sounds amazing. I don't think I've ever gotten a letter in the mail that wasn't like a birthday card from my grandparents, and I'm sure a lot of you are the same. So what better way to help us feel more connected in the struggle than having something physical to open every month? Now, I've always been a sucker for anything analog, film, notebooks, stationery, basically anything that gets me off my phone and away from the internet. So I've had such a great time planning the first few months of dispatches, and I think you're really gonna like them. So let me give you a little teaser. Every month, each subscriber will get a letter, hand-signed by yours truly on lovely, high-quality paper. This is 7 by 14 inches if you're wondering why it looks kind of weird. It is the perfect size to fold twice and fit inside an A7 envelope, and it gives me more room to write a bunch more text for each letter. So speaking of the envelope, each dispatch arrives in one of these lovely green envelopes sealed with our custom number 3 wax seals. Also included in the first month's dispatch, but I can't show you here because I will spoil the surprise, are an art print, a sticker, and a hand-numbered Founders Club thank you card for signing up at the very beginning. Contents will vary by month and theme, so sometimes you might get an art print, sometimes a word game, sometimes a sticker, a curated playlist, or any number of other things, but you will always get some combination of goodies. I also want the Snail Mail Club to be accessible to normal people who maybe aren't socialist yet. Now, I won't pull any punches when I'm talking about capitalism, but I will have months where the message will be broader and less explicitly socialist. So if you have a friend who's on the fence, maybe getting a cool little care package every month might just be the thing to win them over. I also want to stress that we're trying to make this as collaborative as possible. I'm going to try to commission a socialist artist every month for either a sticker design or an art print or some other piece to be included in that month's dispatch. And I'll also include their social links so we can all follow and support each other. If you're an artist and you'd like to get involved, send me an email with examples of your work using the link in the description, and I'll get you added to the roster. If you want to see some more behind the scenes info on the technical aspects of the club, I've got a video on my personal channel that goes into more detail. To give us time to prep and pack all the envelopes, the cutoff to receive the very first dispatch this September is August 20th. So if you want to be a founder of the club, make sure to subscribe on our website linked in the description by the 20th. We are so excited to launch the number 3 post, and I hope you're excited to check it out. All right, back to the show. So, what is the point? I've rambled for a good minute now about how this change isn't going to get us a bigger retirement, it isn't a safer investment strategy, and it isn't making things more transparent. What possible reason would there be for democratizing access to alternative assets? Well, there's the obvious answer. These guys lobbied so they can get more people through the door and charge them higher fees in what is a multi-trillion-dollar market. Ka-ching. Then there's the sad answer. We are bailing them out. Billionaires fucked up, and we are expected to save their asses.
Blue Owl experiencing elevated redemption requests for 2 of its private credit funds in the first quarter.
For months now, all these industries in the alternative asset market have been hurting. Private credit has been getting record redemption requests from their investors. Private equity's returns are at a 16-year low. Crypto has been free-falling for a year. Rich people of all stripes are desperately trying to pull their money out of all these bad investments, and they're finding out that they can't. PE, PC, and C don't actually have the exit liquidity needed for that. All their investments are stuck in companies and assets that no one wants to buy amid reports of massive bubbles in the AI space and a generally stagnating economy. Private equity, private credit, crypto, their wealthy investors, they all need money, and they need it to come without any obligation to give new entrants a decent return. They need a whole bunch of retirees, and that's why we're being fleeced. So, what's going to happen is that once they get their hands on our savings and they've paid back their rich friends first, they're going to go right back to doing what private equity has always done. Buying companies and laying people off. Buying rural hospitals and shutting them down. Buying psychiatric hospitals and denying patients essential services. Buying commercial fishing operations and overworking staff. Running private prisons detaining people for ICE as well as airlines that deport immigrants on multi-day flights without food. And plenty more horrible stuff, I'm sure, from companies that recently dropped their climate pledges. These companies have, for years, done horrible shit with rich people's money. Now, this is what your retirement is going to be funding. Though, in truth, it has been for a long time. Before 401ks even got into the alternative asset game, private equity's been playing with trillions of dollars of savings in things like pension funds. So, really, this is nothing new. It's just worse. And again, it didn't used to be this way. Back when they first popped up, the first pension funds weren't chasing crazy returns. Many of them weren't even investing schemes at all. Just like Social Security, the first pensions were funded by having current workers paying for retirees with the expectation that the next generation was going to do the same. And when the first pensions started investing their money to get a little extra revenue stream for safety, it was incredibly limited to buying local, state, and federal bonds, i.e., making loans to the government. Very low risk with explicitly defined returns. 90% of public pensions were invested this way until World War II, and half of private pensions were too in the decade that followed, thanks to unions. This approach to retirement, 1, gave workers a lot of security, and 2, had the added benefit of creating a mutually beneficial relationship between workers and their governments. Buying bonds lets governments fund public services and infrastructure like schools and hospitals without raising taxes. So instead of retiring off the back of an immigrant being starved on a plane somewhere, you could retire in a community that you and your co-workers helped build. That all changed in the 70s because, just like today, Wall Street lobbied to get a cut of all this good money and changed the rules. Since then, pension funds have had to prioritize growth above anything else, and so they slowly gave up public bonds. Now, we're here. This is the hellscape capitalism has wrought. Either you don't have a 401k or a pension and you're looking at some lean years ahead trying to make do with Social Security, or you do have a 401k and now you're financing the very industries that are shutting down your hospital, rug pulling your cousin, and, I'm just finding this out now, bringing child labor back. I don't know how else to put this. These people are ghouls. There is just no winning without a socialist alternative to the scheme they've set up. We need an actual public safety net. We need to gut these parasitic companies out of existence, because without working class people in power putting a stop to this, we just might not make it.